or just any question anybody would like to ask, just to get us all talking to each other. Otherwise, I'll begin my own talk.
Yes.
Okay, I will ask a question so we can go according to
All right,
plan.
we'll get started.
Okay.
Basically, the heading of your course is mindfulness meditation. So this is one that I got many years ago. It says, I actually got this May 17th, 2004.
1 minute, sir. You got a question there?
Yes,
Dale has a question.
Oh, okay, let's do it.
Go ahead, Dale.
what I don't know if, hold on a second there. The cave that you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. Could Dr. Deiser comment on that statement?
Well, I can tell you both practically and otherwise by using a couple examples, because among my many talents is I was a certified hypnotist as well. And I used it when I was in chiropractic practice to help them ease their pain while I was working on it. But I found out the minute you mention something like hypnosis or anything where perhaps they have to give a part of their own mind, or they fear that you might do something while in and under hypnosis, will interfere with them dramatically. But it's the same thing in our religion. We fear that when we go in, leave and go into meditation, and we're not in our normal human frame of mind, meditation takes you down to another level, that something can happen, and that's very scary. People do not like to be out of control. Their brains, our brains, we taught them to protect us. Our brains don't want to be out of control either. But where we have to go, if you really want to go and grow with spirituality and mindfulness, is you must go, and for even a short period of time, literally turn off conscious brain and go to what they call alpha thinking. It's one level below physical consciousness. You never lose control. You hear everything. But it's a state of quietness that our brain doesn't like. Our brain does not like to be told to be quiet. We taught it not to be. Okay, I didn't get what that was. What happened? Are we still together? Hello?
Yes, Erwin, we can hear you.
They can't hear me?
We can hear you.
You can. Well, they disappeared in the middle of the question, so I'm not sure what happened. In any case, Michael, should I continue? I'm not hearing them.
We're good. We are good to go.
Okay, you back?
Yes, we're good.
All right, should I start?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do a couple of readings, which I like to do because they fit in both into mindfulness and meditation. This one is from May 17, 2004, and I have no name. It was online. But I would wish you to consider what it's saying. Because particularly in this time period, this country and all around the world, we're in deep trouble because we have been convinced that we have been left behind, that we have no control over anything. So just think about this. If you woke up this morning with more health than illness, you are more blessed than the million who won't even survive the week. If you ever experienced the danger of battle, the loneliness of imprisonment, the agony of torture, or the pangs of starvation, you're ahead of 20 million people around the world. If you attend a church meeting without fear, harassment, arrest, torture, or death, you are more blessed than 3 million people in the world. You have food in your refrigerator, clothes on your back, a roof over your head, and a place to sleep. You are richer than 75% of the world. If you have money in the bank and your wallet and spare change in a dish someplace, you're among the top 8% of the world's wealthiest people. If your parents are still married and alive, you're a very rare and fortunate person, especially in the United States. You hold up your head with a smile on your face and are truly thankful. You are blessed because the majority can do this, but most don't. If you can hold someone's hand, hug them, smile at them, or even touch them, you are blessed because you can offer God's healing touch. And if you can read this message, you're more blessed than over 2 billion people in the world that cannot read anything at all. So start focusing on what you do have, for you are so blessed in ways you may never even know. See, that's part of mindfulness. Where do you place your consciousness? Are you placing it on the blessings you have? Are you continuously, like I said, waking up in the morning and making a statement of gratitude for the fact you have another day of life? Or are you bemoaning your fate or asking yourself, uh-oh, or like when you're in the working world, oh God, another Monday? Well, right now, there's a lot of people, particularly in the United States, are without work and similarly can't find it because they feel whatever's offered isn't good enough for them. But where do you place your consciousness? This is what that particular reading said. Just remember, we are the best off people in the entire world, and I don't know why we keep knocking our country and saying things that go to hell and all that kind of stuff. We're so blessed. But this was another one I received, and I have no date on it, but it took my breath away long before I went and met Michael, and he said, let's call this mindfulness and meditation. I had a very special teacher in high school many years ago whose husband unexpectedly and suddenly died of a heart attack. About a week after his death, she shared some of the insight with classrooms of her students. Late afternoon, sunlight came streaming into the classroom windows. The class was nearly over. She moved a few things aside on the edge of her desk and sat down. With a gentle look of love and reflection on her face, she paused and said, before our class is over, I would like to share with all of you a thought that is unrelated to our class today. I'd like to share with all of you that each of us is put here on earth to learn, to share, to love and appreciate, and give of ourselves. None of us knows when this fantastic experience will end. It can be taken away just any moment. Perhaps this is a way of telling us that we must make the most out of every single moment. Her eyes were beginning to tear and she went on. So I would like you all to make me a promise today. From now on your way to school or your way home, find something beautiful to notice. There's the mindfulness. It doesn't have to be something you see. It could be a scent of freshly baked bread coming out of a house. It could be a sound of the breeze rustling the leaves in the trees, or the way the morning light catches an autumn leaf as it falls gently to the ground. Please, all of you, I ask you, please look for these things and cherish them. For although it may sound trite, this is the stuff of life. The little things we are to put here on earth to enjoy. The things we often take for granted. But we must make it important to notice them, for at any time, it can all be taken away. I was amazed. The class was completely silent. We all picked up our books and filed out of the room. That afternoon, I noticed more things on my way home from school than I had the whole year. Every once in a while, I think of that teacher and remember what an impression she made on us. And I try more to appreciate all those things that we always tend to overlook. So please take notice of something you see on your lunch hour today. When you go home, just for the heck of it, go barefoot. Or walk on the beach at sunset. Let the water touch your feet. Or stop off on the way home to get a double dip ice cream cone and swirl it around your mouth so you can enjoy the different sections that give you a good taste. Regretfully, as we get older, it's not the things we did that we often regret. More often, it's the things we didn't do. Don't cry because it's over, just smile because it's happening. And then she has this This is a gentleman, George H. Donker, who sent me this. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments to take our breath away. So you see, this mindfulness goes into every area, every arena of life. But you have a second statement here from Michael. He says, mindfulness and meditation. The problem with human mindfulness is it's always based on humanness. From the very time that we're born, we start swallowing human terminology, human behavior, human patterns, and I will get to this even more completely over the next couple of weeks. But this is a different kind of mindfulness, but it's mindfulness. It's mindfulness in a silence. And the purpose of that is everything you've ever wanted or ever believed you didn't have has always been available to you and I. But we can't believe that now. We're so buried in our humanity and our ideas of what we can't have. Perhaps you think like I did. For 47 years as a Catholic, when I was in a real bad situation, I would have to run to church and get on my knees and beg for help. Well, I don't do that anymore because I was told I don't have to beg for it. It's always been available to me, but I have a problem. I'm not listening. Remember last week we did a reading on listening. I'm not listening. I'm not listening to what's available. I'm not listening to the voice of the Creator. The Creator that promised everything is ours. We weren't created to be in lack. We weren't created to be racial. What's racial? That's a human decision to make different people less or better than others. There is no such thing. We're all the same. We're all atoms, all molecules, all arranged in different ways. What a pleasure it is that we're so different. You know what a boring it would be if everybody was exactly the same? But mindfulness, if you wish to really get to the place where you understand what the promise was, ask, believe, and you will receive. It means it's there already. You have to become quiet and allow it to converse with you on that mental level, which is not conscious human thinking. It's way beyond that. He said, I am that I am. Our I is a complete part of the greatness of the Creator. We're not all of the Creator, but we're an equal part of it. It said, you are made in my image. And I asked you last week to play with the word and ask yourself, what is your I am age? Where are you in consciousness about the incredible value you have and the knowledge that you were put on this planet to go and render something that nobody else will ever be able to do, yourself. And to be able to understand when you have it all, you can give it all. You have to begin with what we say every week. I choose. We say, I am the only person. I will have a relationship with all my life. And I choose two. What did you do with the two? What did you do with the I am? Because anything that you attach to it is your reality. And in all honesty and seriousness, whether you believe it or not, at 85, I finally don't get angry at myself because I keep going back and saying what I could have done instead of realizing what a magnificent life I had. Where are you with this understanding what it means to be I am with the I am? It's time we start doing the work we should. Eliminate a lot of the human garbage and start becoming quiet and allow that consciousness, mind, universal mind to our minds to come in and show us very clearly anything that we ask with belief, for we are creators, must, by universal spiritual law, become our realities. That's hard to handle when we look back sometimes. We're not too kind to ourselves. I'm going to read one more, and this is very important. I must have read this 10,000 times in 20 years. And for once, I know who the author is. It's called Attitude. It's very famous. I'm sure you might have heard it, but consider it once again. Attitude by Charles Swindoll. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than success, what other people think or say or do. It's more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home, a family. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change the past. We cannot change the fact people will act in a certain way. We appear to not be able to change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play it on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how I choose to react to it. Therefore, ergo, if that's the real story, and I believe it is, then everything you have up to now is a result of your own attitude. I live in a 4-story condo, and every once in a while when our classes weren't too big, we'd bring the people into the house. And we live on the 2nd floor, and I take them out on the landing and tell them, walk around and look out there and see what you see. I give them about 3-4 minutes, and then I said, all right, let's take a ride on the elevator. Let's go up to the 4th floor. And we go up to the 4th floor, and I say, okay, now walk around and take a look at what you see. And I'd leave them up there for 10 minutes, walking one end to another. There's 15 apartments to a floor. 10 times is a mile, so I might have walked a quarter of a mile. And I said, okay, let's go downstairs. I said, anybody want to tell me what the difference was between the 4th floor and the 2nd floor? Anybody care to go and give me the answer? Wow, the 4th floor was magnificent. We could see so much. We could see over the buildings. I think we could see all the way down to Miami. I said, you did see all the way down to Miami. You saw downtown Miami. What's that telling you, folks? He said, well, it tells me if I raise the altitude of my attitude, I might see a lot more things I'm not seeing right now. Well, that's what meditation does. It brings you to a level where you raise the altitude of your attitude and your belief systems by listening to the Creator who promised you over and over and again, you are my image. He said very clearly, what you name it is what it will become. And that's our choice to go and do that. And we've done it, but we've done it in almost zombie-like fashion. We really don't think an awful lot about it. It's significant. Somebody trying to talk here, there's a lot of noise. Mike, is somebody talking? Hello, Michael. Michael, are you there?
Yeah, it's background noise. Go ahead. You're good.
Sounds like somebody wants to say something.
No, nobody.
All right. Okay, this one I wasn't going to read today, but it's not long, so listen to this, because this again is up to you and up to me. A Native American grandfather was talking to his grandson about how he felt. He said, Dad, I feel as if I have 2 wild wolves fighting in my heart. One wolf is vengeful, angry, and violent, and the other one is loving and sweet and compassionate. And then the grandson asked him, Dad, which wolf will win the fight in my heart? And the grandfather simply answered, the one you choose to feed. See, one of the difficulties as humans, we really are not too happy about having a look at ourselves. The primary lesson that was taught by Jesus, the Christ, was it's all about love. And the first week we were on, I spoke about that. and I read something on it, but I also said, when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, how do you feel about the person that's looking back at you? Remember, we were told the eyes are the mirror of the soul. So when you're looking at you, that person, how do you feel about yourself? It's very important that you understand that. For if you don't love yourself and don't feel you have the right to, which is a serious mistake because you were created out of love and told that you are love and that love is with you all the time, you have work to do. You cannot get love from anybody if you don't have love of yourself. It's impossible. That's why so many marriages go astray. They get together because I got to get some love, and oh, this man, he's the one I love so much. And oh, she's so precious. I know, I love her so much. Why is it so important? If you love yourself, you should just be looking for a good partner who will share or not share your opinions during a lifetime, but yet you support each other. But we're always looking for love, and there's a great song, looking for love in all the wrong places. It's in you. You were created this morning. You're here for another day. That's a gift. It's called the gift of love from a giving creator. And we're going to establish some techniques over the next couple of weeks that will help you perhaps ground yourself better. I have a question for you. Have any of you ever meditated at all? You don't have to answer to me. This is a question personal for you. How many of you said, I can't meditate? I tried so many times. I just can't meditate. Well, then you got it all wrong. For you can. Well, every time I go into meditation, I either fall asleep or my mind starts working, and then I can't. Oh, okay, well, I got a little book here. I'm going to read a small paragraph to you. Consider this. Every person must take daily quiet time for meditation. In daily meditation lies the complete secret of the power. No one can grow either in spiritual knowledge or power without it. Practice the presence of God just as you would practice music. No one would ever dream of becoming a master in music except by spending time daily alone with the music. Daily meditation alone with God focuses the divine presence within us, and it brings us out to our consciousness. Now, I was a kid with a piano. My parents thought it'd be good if I learned how to play piano, and I hated it, but I did it anyway because they were my parents. And what did I have to do? If any of you played a piano or any instrument for that fact, what do you have to do first? Well, first they tell you, put your fingers here and here, and these are the keys that you have to go and remember. And then keep hitting those keys until you get used to putting your fingers there. After you got your fingers in there, they say, okay, now let's play a scale. And you do, I believe it's 7, I can't remember anymore, but 7 notes of the scale with each hand. And you practice that for a while. And then when you get somewhat proficient at that, they'll put a sheet of music up in front of you and they'll say, that note over there is this finger. That note over there is this finger. And they start teaching you what? How to read music. So in the beginning, it's really difficult. You hit all the wrong notes, your fingers are going the wrong way. But what happens with practice? You start becoming more proficient. But nowhere during that time did you ever think you were going to become a genius like a Mozart, who for some reason was presented with the gift right from a very young age, and so many other great composers. Mozart said it on his deathbed as he was dictating his great last masterpiece to the top physician of his day. He was laying it out to him and he said, please stop, I can't keep up writing it down that fast. And his comment to him was, I can't stop. That's how fast it comes to me. You have to keep up. And I forget which symphony it was. At one point I did know, but it was one of his greatest. And this was the man that tried to destroy Mozart. In fact, he did destroy him, and he died at a very young age of starvation. Practice the presence. Practice the presence. There was a book out by Brother Lawrence called Practicing the Presence. When he was in a monastery, they gave him they thought he wasn't very educated, not too smart. So they gave him the dirtiest job in the whole monastery, working in the kitchen. And believe me, in that time period, to work in the kitchen was living hell. But he never complained. He never asked for anything. He just kept doing the work. And after a year and a half, the head of the monastery came to him and said, Brother Lawrence, I have a question for you. How can you stand doing this all the time in the kitchen? You never come to me. You never ask me to take you out. You never complain. He said, I have no problem with it because I'm practicing the presence of God in everything I do. He put me here today. This is my job. This is what I do. And if I do it well, something better will come. He's considered one of the greatest psychics and mystics in the entire Catholic faith. That book is just something to read, but it's always one thing. It focuses on taking time out to recognize the gifts you have, to be grateful, and then to do that which you can do best at this time. That's our job. Where do I get all the answers I think I need to go outside for? Start quieting down and go inside. All the answers are there. You create the problem. The Creator doesn't create your problems. You do by the choices you choose to make. So you try to join in with thousands of beginning to understand the power and necessity of taking time out each day to become quiet. And I'll go into a little more detail next week. If you're one of these that say, I can't do it because I never keep quiet, we'll give you some little tricks to overcome that. Now, let's see. I shot about a half hour, so let's just stop here for a minute and ask, are there any questions so far tonight or questions on anything you have that I never even covered that we can all talk about? Because it's much more fun when everybody participates. Meanwhile, Michael, I don't know what happened. I lost your picture, so I'm not even sure you're still with me.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
still here. I'm
okay.
still here.
All right, you're back. Questions, please. Save me. My goodness.
No,
How-
let me talk about attitude.
Okay.
What,
You heard
how do we define attitude? What is attitude?
Well, he said it here pretty clearly what it is. Actually, attitude is doing what you're asking. It's paying attention to that which is around you and then acting and reacting upon it and make the decision and then move forward and accomplish the decision. He says it at the end. All the things that he said he cannot change. He says, but the only thing we can do is change the attitude, which means how do you want to embrace the day? How do you start the day? That's the beginning of attitude. I'll tell you that right now. Within 1.5 minutes of you awakening in the morning and becoming aware, because I'm a slow waker. My wife tells me I am a pain in the poo-poo because I don't come around for about 10 minutes. But once I realize I'm alive again, here's where attitude begins. It begins with me and with you. What happens right after you really wake up and realize I have another day? And I suggested this in the very first talk, that this was the beginning of spirituality. What do you do? I'll tell you what I do. I say thank you for the day. In fact, I go to bed at night and I'll tell you what I say. I say, whatever you are, because I give up. There's so many names for it. I said, I have no name for you. But whatever you are, if you choose to give me another day, I'll be very grateful for it. And then give me the wisdom and knowledge to go and practice what you taught through your son for us to do. To be kind to each other, to give more than you receive, to be happy, to smile, to change a day, like the young lady said, a very simple thing. Just look at somebody and smile at them. Take a moment to touch them. If today you got to be careful about that, but if you can, touch their shoulder, shake a hand. When you go into a place with 95 seniors who complain all day long about all the ills they have, and they ask you how you're doing, don't tell them, well, you're ill. Just tell them it's a great day. I'm up here. I'm standing here in front of you. I'm looking at you. What a wonderful day. Attitude. Then when I just told you now, and I told you because you have to have this, look in the mirror and recognize your own value. You must love your value. You were created again today to allow you an opportunity to recognize that you have a special purpose in life. Are you looking at yourself and feeling this is something I can do? Or are you denying it to say, I can't, I'm not able? 10,000 excuses why you can't do something. There isn't anything that you can't do. You can do everything if you are in the right zone. And that's everybody talks about that in sports. You got to be in the zone. What do they mean? You got to be in the zone. Well, we who want to practice spirituality, it means you got to be connected to what gave you life. You willing to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a half hour a day to make a very special place in your home or your house where you shut the door and put in there whatever you want. If you require, because you come from certain religions, a statue or something, Buddhists like a Buddha, Catholics like a cross, pick what you want, something in there that says, for this next period of time, whatever it is, this is where I am. Everything outside that door is forgotten and must be forgotten for this time period. Now, if you're a businessman and you're the boss, and you got all that stuff on your head and you can't sometimes come up with answers, tell them 15 minutes every day at 4 o'clock, you pick the time, you pick the place. Even if you look out the window of a skyscraper and see the beauty that's out there, you pick that time and that place and tell them there will be no phone calls, no interruptions for 15 minutes. That's your private time with your creator. What is that? That's attitude. Everything we do is attitude. The question is, what are we doing and what are we using it for? Do we choose our attitude to look at all the evils? Good. I can't turn on television anymore. It's so disgusting. Unbelievable. Everything you hear on there is so negative and so down. Well, we don't have to be part of that. We're not denying its existence. We just don't have to confirm it. Energy, 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 energy. All right, we're talking now about saving the world from energy. Look at the fires. Oh my God. Look at the floods. Oh my God. Look at this and look at that and look at this. And we're going to hell now. We're at a point, the planet will never exist if we don't change our mind. But do we worry about that with what comes out of our mouth? When you gossip about somebody and destroy their life because of what you said, are you worried about that? I think that's a hell of a lot more important right now than worrying about all this that's outside, because it's energy. How do you choose to use the gift of life and the energy you provided with is attitude. It's all attitude. I have no description for it, except it's all about the choices you make. That's attitude. That's why I smilingly said, raise the altitude of your attitude. I gave you an example. 2 floors up, the entire panorama changed. What should you be reaching for to get to a place of consciousness and meditation where you're thinking higher? And the higher you go, the quicker you see, and you can begin to believe what was promised to you, that you're one with the Creator. That's your whole job here on Earth. I think I even have that in a page here. If you give me a second to flip. I think I have it. I think I have it. Yes, I think I do. Oh, goodness me. Where is it? Well, I think I remember close enough. I'm going to have to flip it over a little because it's not perfect or like the way it was written. But it said the only purpose for Jesus to come in as a human being, he had to deal with human beings, and the only way they would accept him, they had to feel he was human. That's logical, I guess. But in the process of from his birth to the time he came and beginning his ministry, he spent 30 years out in that world. And they surrendered themselves, the family, and they ran to Egypt to escape being killed. And at that time, Egypt was the civilized center of the entire world. They were doing things that today our scientists are studying and trying to figure out how the hell did they do that? You know, they simply can't understand to this day yet, the most brilliant of mathematicians, how they built those pyramids. I mean, the picture that they made for Hollywood is beautiful. People, tens of thousands of people slugging these all the way up to the top. Impossible. They were 6,000 pounds apiece. They had the knowledge of how to go and use energy and even defy gravity. But along come the Romans and destroy the whole Egyptian library. They burned it to the ground. All that knowledge, all that things that were in there that would help humankind were just shattered and torn. And that's what we do all the time. I want to bring up somebody that might not be too pleasant for some of you, but look what Hitler did. What did he do and how did he do it? And it was because the German people's attitude at that time was that they weren't worth anything. So he came in and he had the ability to speak. And boy, the power of the spoken word, when believed, is amazing. First thing is he took the children and he started teaching them what he wanted them to hear. Then when they were old enough to go and start causing some damage, he told them, I want you to go out and get all the books. Every book you can find that is any other book than Mein Kampf, which was his book, and I want you to burn them. By the way, that's happening in Russia right now and all the countries around the world. If they don't like what's in print, they stop it from being printed, they shut the station out, or they burn it. And slowly but surely, he developed one of the largest armies in the world, predicated on the idea we are white and we are the superior race. Anything less than that is nothing. And he reached the conclusion that the Jewish people as a nation always controlled all the money and all of the other stuff, and he was jealous of that. So he made them less than animals and led them into the crematoriums. Not only them, but many others, the gypsies, other religions, anybody that didn't agree with his word, that was it. He took millions of his people and led them into a war they didn't even want, but they felt they had to, or they would be killed. I had relatives over there because I am from Germany. They were told very honestly, get up and put a uniform on or we will kill you. What do you think is going on right now with the Taliban? Isn't it amazing how nothing changes? Same stupidity all over. But the point I'm making is it's all attitude. What do you focus on? Dr. Holmes, who started Science of Mind, said it this way. He said, on any given day, 51% of your consciousness is dedicated to the good of life. You're a winner for the day. Just 51%. He didn't say get on the piano and become a Mozart. He said 1% of change where your focus is not on anything negative. For one day, you're ahead of the game. You're starting to go in the right direction. So what's an answer? Promise yourself today that you might do some of the things I suggested or that you care to do. You go to bed at night, look at the day. And the first thing you do is you look for the good in your life. Well, I don't know how much good I got. Well, I just told you. 20 million people don't have this. 75% of the world don't have this. 90% of the world don't have that. 20 million can't do this. 3 billion people can't practice religion, and you think you have nothing to be grateful for. What is that? That's attitude. Attitude, in my mind, is how you practice the use of mind to point it to what improves or makes things better, as opposed to how looking at makes them worse. Now, I'm going to read one more thing, and did I bring it in? Somewhere I always have a great week. I always hide one page for some reason. Here we go. I told you I was going to read some of this each week. It's from Erroneous Zones by Wayne Dyer. This week, I'm choosing on the second paragraph of that. And here's something very important, because if there ever was a point where attitude comes in, this is it. This one I call guilt. Healthy, fulfilled people are free from guilt. And all tendon anxiety goes with using any present moment and being immobilized over past events. Certainly they can admit to making mistakes, and they can avow to avoid repeating certain behavior that wasn't productive in any way, but they don't waste their time wishing they hadn't done something, or being upset because they don't like something, or they did it in an earlier moment in life. Complete freedom from guilt is one of the hallmarks of a healthy human being. No lamenting the past, no effort to make others choose guilt by asking them questions such as these. Why didn't you do that differently? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Were you taught to behave yourself like that? No, they seem to recognize that life through is just that, and no amount of feeling bad will alter it. They're free from guilt themselves without any effort because it's natural, but they will never help another person to choose guilt. They see that feeling bad in the present moment only reinforces a poor self-image, and that learning from the past is far superior to remonstrating about it. You'll never see them manipulating others by telling them how bad they've been, nor you will be never able to manipulate them with the same tactics. They won't get angry at you, but they might ignore you. Rather than being upset with you, they'll just go away or change the subject. The strategies that work so beautifully and most people fail with these people. Rather than make themselves and others miserable with guilt, they unceremoniously pass when it comes along. How guilty do you feel about your life? Because it's holding you back, and it serves absolutely no purpose whatsoever. Of course, realistically, at the level of the spirit, which we keep talking about, you can't be guilty. You can't make a mistake. I say, get rid of those words, good and bad. What's good, what's bad? Only what we say. Shakespeare said it, what you name it makes it so. My goodness, where did he get that from? You label it, you got it. We are religious scientists. That's what we call ourselves. We practice religion and universal laws, and we're scientific about it as well. Science and scientists constantly are experimenting, because that's what life is about. It's an experiment, a practice, and useful purposefulness, living it. Living life makes life worth living. Changing your mind changes your life. They never conduct an experiment and say it's a success or a failure. It's an experiment. We are an experiment. We're not successful or failure. Are you successful because you got $1 trillion? Or are you a failure because I haven't got any money? Hey, if you got a penny in your pocket, you're never going to be broke. You're always, but you won't be rich, but you won't be broke. It's all attitude. So the challenge that all this teaching, and maybe some of it from me and most of it from yourself, is if you're going to look back and excuse it. Get rid of the guilt. Guilt just is a terrible weight. You don't need it. It serves no purpose. If you really feel generous, find out somebody you felt you did a dirty job on and call them up. I did a class on relationships, and you'd be amazed the number of people that disliked or hated other members of the family. And when I asked them why, well, because the family has always disliked them. Well, why? Well, I don't exactly know why, but we just don't like them. And now you're acting on these things like they belong to you and you don't even know why they're happening. But we do it every day. How can you judge somebody when you never were involved, whatever caused the problem? I'm going to share one last thing with you because it was one of the great joys of one of these relationship classes. Two twins wrote in there that they could, under no means whatsoever, get along with their mother. They wouldn't talk to her for 20 years. And they said, what do we do about that? I said, you might not like the answer. Get on the phone and call her up. And tell her, Mom, we miss talking to you. And we'd like to hear your voice. So you mind if we talk with each other? They came back into class next week crying. Tears were coming out of their eyes like you wouldn't believe. They spent almost 2.5 hours on the phone, the first telephone call they made. And all that nonsense, whatever it was all about, just poof, gone. That's the power we have. We can do that. And if you can't face that or that person, then in meditation, see that person well, doing good, and apologize to them by mental mind consciousness, because minds reach other minds by means you wouldn't even believe. We'll get into that too. Now, I think I have just about overshot whatever my agreement was. If I did, I apologize, but that's what you get for not asking questions.
No, we did very good. This was very good. Anybody have any questions?
Get up in the morning and live the day, would you please? Yes, Mike.
Yeah, Dale, you got anything?
Thanks, Mike. The two wolves fighting in my heart.
Do me a favor. Between now and next week, if you have a question, write it down, because you know what happens? By the time you want to go and bring it up, you'll forget what it is. But thanks for attending.
No.
Thanks for attending. Oh,
I don't think he's hearing Mike.
Go ahead, Dale. I'm in the room, so
Oh, okay.
I'll listen.
The two wolves fighting in my heart, and the winner will be the one you choose to feed. That also has to do with attitude, but could you elaborate on that for me, please?
what?
Okay, so let me. You said there are two worlds fighting in your heart.
The two wolves
Oh, two wolves fighting
In his heart.
in my
in your heart.
Right.
You're hearing Erwin.
Huh?
Keep thinking of is going to be said.
Two wolves fighting in your heart.
Okay.
And
A
the
young,
winner.
a young boy went to his father.
Hold on, Dale. Hold on, Dale. Dale, can I?
Yes.
Maybe this will be easier. Can you write it in the chat? How fast can you
Oh.
type?
No, Joy.
Get it out of the tape.
Dr. Erwin made the statement about a little boy talking about two wolves who were fighting in his heart.
Okay.
The point.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
And he wanted, go ahead now, dear.
And the grandfather, he wanted to know who the winner would be. And the
Right.
grandfather told him that the winner would be the one who he chose to feed.
That means the one he's thinking
Hold on.
about.
So okay. So what's the question, Dale?
The question
Wants
is
to elaborate.
to elaborate on it. And
Okay,
as
so he
far
wants
as
you to.
All right.
Okay, so he wants you to elaborate on the story that you gave,
Just
where you.
We just lose you, Joy. You're on mute. Joy, you're on mute.
I know that I'm trying to explain to him what you guys just said.
he has no hearing aids.
Until we get the hearing aids next week.
All right.
Think about, you bring about.
Okay.
The more you think about something.
That story.
That's about as simple as it can be made. What you think about, you bring about. He said to his grandfather, which one should I feed? And he said, I got to twist it up now.
Yeah.
But the grandfather said, the one you feed is the one that you will bring about. So you choose to feed the evil one, that's going to be in your life.
People will come to you.
If you choose the good side of things, that's what's going to come to your life. And I don't know how to make it
You
any.
can't keep thinking about bad things and get good things happening. You have to think about good things, the better side of life, because what you think about, you bring about.
And that was the other reason I said, if you have one day free of negative thinking and just do 51% of just consciously focusing on doing good, you're on the way to feeding the right one. I know no other better way to explain it. I apologize if there's more that's
You
needed.
got that deal?
Yes, and the other part is in terms of attitude, that would also back up your attitude, whether or not it is positive to your reactions to what is happening to you during the course of the day.
Right.
That's
How,
right.
how you feed it. So that's what I'm looking for him to explain, that part of it in
All right.
relation to what he's saying.
Dale, that's why I said at night, this is what you do. You take time out before you go to bed. And you choose to look over your day and ask yourself, what are you feeding? What did you do today? Which side did you choose? The angry wolf or the good wolf? Was your day a whole day of negativity? Did you get down on yourself and get upset with yourself? Did you get annoyed with somebody else? Did you watch too much television and start buying all this nonsense that's all over the screen now? Or did you choose to have a quiet type of day where you got up in the morning, and I say this often too, this day, nobody, anybody or anything is going to disturb my peacefulness. Affirmations is what we call those. You have to find things that will focus you in on what you are feeding your day, because we said we create. It said if we say I am, that's what it has to be. We are the creator. And I hope that I'm trying very hard to explain it, but it's all in our own mind and what we choose to do with it. Anything further that I can try to do to help you? I got two good women,
Okay.
got two good women here.
Phyllis wants to say something.
We once had a teacher, and he told us that if you look out a dirty window, you can't see what is outside. But if you clean the window, in other words, clear your mind of all the negativity that you possibly can, and when you think of something bad, just quickly delete, and think of something better, eventually you'll have clean windows and you could see the glory that's all outside.
That was the idea of going up to the fourth floor for the same purpose.
Doctor, you have done a great job. Any answer you gave with confidence would have been the right answer. It was just an explanation needed.
I'll tell you one thing.
Perfectly understood.
Thank you. I'll tell you one thing. They're only my answers. They're not necessarily right, but I hope they help.
Well, the right answer.
Otherwise, I wish everybody that's there a very pleasant evening. Take a look at your day and be happy you're alive.
Okay, so once again, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank Dr. Deiser for another pleasant.
Hold on, Mike. Was Dale finished? Because I see the hand still.
Oh no, thank you. No, I am finished. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, so we close this session, and I will put up the tape on Tuesday, on Tuesday, so that we watch it Tuesday, Wednesday, and then when we come back on Thursday, we'll be able to ask questions on the tapes. Okay, is that good for everybody?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Have a
Good
blessed
night.
day now.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Okay.